And welcome to Straightforward with Gloria Strode. I'm Tolly Strode, sitting in for Gloria, who's on location. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to our guest for this segment, Marshal Greg Countryman.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, I am so excited about getting a chance to talk with you and discuss some of the challenges that you're facing as the Marshal.
Yes,
getting funding for your department. We've got a big event going on across not just your office, but with some other elected officials in the form of a lawsuit.
Yes.
And then amidst all of that, you're still having to run a department and service the citizens of Columbus. So you've got a lot on your plate right now.
I do.
But, you know, before we go into some of the other issues, tell us a little bit about your department and exactly what you do for the citizens of Columbus.
Sure. The Marshal's Office is one of the oldest law enforcement agencies in the county. We've been around since 1831. Mm-hmm. The Marshal carried the big stick, if you will. The Marshal in 1831 acted as not only Marshal, but acted as police chief. And up until 1892, they created a local police chief, the office of the local police chief. August 12th of 1915, they created a legislative act to create a marshal for the municipal court along with a clerk. And the marshal's office basically carry out the precepts of the municipal court. We are the arm of the municipal court, if you will. We carry out the evictions, the levy, the 5-phase, the garnishments. We carry out all 31 different types of civil processes from municipal court. Each year, on average, we do right just under 12,000 dispossessory warrants. We do right at 5,000, if not more than 5,000 evictions each year. So we have been very, very progressive in how we, do things. We have gone from me taking office in 2005. It used to take right at 2 months to do an eviction.
2 months. Wow.
We are actually down to just under 10 days now.
Wow.
So
and that's money for anyone trying to evict someone who's not paying their bill. You're talking about a little bit over a month that those individuals who own those properties is gaining just because you become more efficient about doing your job.
That's right. They get to take that money, put it back into their property, reinvest that money, and that has been a added value to them. Mm-hmm. Just us doing that, because anytime we can save them an extra month mm-hmm. of rent or either mortgage, we have done our job.
And I know the value of that. My father in Los Angeles owns some properties, and I think anyone who is in that business, renting out to other individuals, runs into situations where folks just don't want to pay. Right. And you have to go through a legal process to get them evicted so that you can regain control of your property.
That's it.
And the implications of not going through that process could be pretty severe on the other side if someone sues you because you did not execute civil process. So we're talking dollars and cents just based on you doing your job for the average property owner who's renting to others.
Right, because a lot of people may not know that just because if we can't get a person evicted from that dwelling, the landlord or the property owner still has to make their mortgage.
Right.
So they're actually losing money. Right. And as time flies, dollars are being thrown out the window. Right. And once we can get to that point to where we can evict that person, then they have to hire people to come out to actually move the items out.
And those are all of those processes are originating from the municipal court, or are you servicing also the Superior Court or any of the other courts there?
No, we only carry out the precepts of the municipal court.
Okay, all right. In addition to that, you have a lot of other community-oriented things that are going on. I think everybody in the city knows about the Junior Marshals program. There's also DARE, right. which you're engaged in, and some other things. Why don't you tell us about that?
The Junior Marshal program is an excellent program. When I took office in 2005, when I was elected in 2004, I made a covenant with God. I told him that I would use my authority to actually benefit those that were like me. A lot of people may not know it, but when I graduated high school, I graduated with a learning disability. I had a stuttering problem. So I understand the importance of having a mentor, because if I did not have a mentor, I wouldn't be where I am today. And one thing about it, with crime being the way it is in our community, if we don't start in our own backyard, if we don't use our power, our collective power, to go back into the community and reach into the community, there's a Bible verse in Luke 10 to where there was a Levite and there was a priest that walked by on the other side when there was a person that was robbed and beat. We have a lot of our children in our community that are robbed and beat, and they're just left on the side of the road.
Right.
You don't see a lot of elected officials doing this, but I'm going to do it. And a lot of people may not like it. They may say, well, this is outside of the scope of your duties.
Well, how can that be said when we're, funding an organization that's doing exactly that? I mean, we're putting money into that because we recognize you just can't enforce your way or law enforce your way into a civil society. You have to make an investment. So, anyone that's speaking negatively about the Junior Marshal program because it's going directly to those kids, I don't know. I don't think they really understand what you're doing. And
then this was also part of the local option sales tax. This was actually part of former Mayor Jim Worthington's vision for that local option sales tax, for us to be able to go back into the community, because rather than children and teenagers seeing us as bad people, they need to see us as friends. They need to see us as people that they can look up to. And because I wouldn't be where I am, because I remember the junior police program when I was in the 6th grade. I can tell you that officer's name was Officer Murphy. He was a Columbus police officer, and I knew then that there was something about what he did to actually help me to make the decision to be where I am, because first of all, he was there for us. He was there even when we couldn't talk to our parents. We had another male figure there.
And that's very important. There's some times where children are more receptive to hearing it from someone else because you are mom and dad.
Exactly.
And to play that role in a child's life, I think is one of the most important additional duties that we all can have besides doing that with our own children.
That's right, because, when you look at the things that are happening in our community, and if everyone would just use their collective power and not to always deal with politics and always try to do something whenever there's a camera in front of them. We don't need a camera to actually heal our community. If we come back as believers, and if we put Christ first, and if we go back in our community, we can rebuild our community, because our community needs to work for everybody. We can't have a strong North Columbus and not have a strong South Columbus. Our children in our community are going to be leaders one day, and if we don't invest in them today, then where will we be tomorrow? Because somebody's going to have to pay a price for this. We all have children. I don't want to leave this earth and my children and my son say, Dad, why did you leave me in this position?
Right.
So I'm going to make sure that everything that I can do for these 130 kids will help to get them to that next level, because we focus on things like citizenship, leadership, education, fun, and teamwork.
Right.
We have not had any of our junior marshals to be involved in gangs, no teen pregnancy, no truancy, no anything. This is a 2-year program that works well. We also work with the Columbus Police Department with their DARE program. We also have a DARE program also, but we work with the Columbus Police Department and their great programs.
So there's collaboration there.
Collaboration, it has to be. This week, the police department and the marshal's office are both working together doing a summer camp. And that's the thing, the uniqueness about public safety. We are strong when we come together, but when we're pulled apart, there is a wedge there. And sometimes people don't know how to cross that wedge, because if there's another a person that has their foot in the door, and that person may have authority to some people, then it sort of cuts off that water well.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a few minutes, visit with some of our sponsors, and then I want to come back and talk to you about the budget issues and challenges that you're facing, and then we'll get into the other major event, which is the lawsuit that was filed here not too long ago involving you and 3 other public officials and elected officials. So we're going to turn to our sponsors and then get back to this conversation with our good friend, Marshal Greg Countryman.
Hi, I'm Pastor Quinn, Senior Pastor of New Destiny Church.
And I'm Lady Denitra Hartnett, and we would like to invite you out to worship with us at New Destiny Church, where we do it for the vine.
Welcome back to Straightforward with Gloria Strode. I'm Tolly Strode, sitting in for Gloria, who's on location right now, taking care of some important business for the program. And our guest is Marshal Greg Countryman, good friend, public servant, and leader in our community. We're talking about what the Marshal does for our community, what the Marshal's organization does for our community. And I would be remiss if I did not ask you about your lovely wife and kids. Can you share with us a little bit about them?
Sure. My wife is the wings. My wife is the winds beneath
As
my
we
wings.
discussed, just like Gloria is to me, right?
Amen. And my wife is my heart. I could not be successful in my capacity if I did not have my wife, and I really sort of sometimes even get emotional even thinking about my wife, because my wife has put up with me being an elected official, which is not always
easy.
Which is not always an easy job, because you are being pulled here and pulled there, being asked to speak here, being asked to speak there, even when we go out in public.
And your life is in a microscope.
You can't abandon the people that put you there, but at the same time, I have to recognize too that I am a husband at the same time, and I am a father. I have 3 lovely kids. My oldest son is in the United States Navy. He's stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. Greg Jr. is in high school in Little William. My 7-year-old, they're all special to me, and they all share a unique space in my heart. But my family, I love them dearly, and I just don't know what I would do without them.
Well, that's inspiring, because we know that you're not only doing what you do for your family, but you're also having a positive impact on other families with the work that's being done, both civil and the criminal side of the house. You do some things there too.
We did.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And I want to move into a discussion about the current budget process. Now, the reason why I even bring this up is because I was perusing the Columbus, Georgia website, and I happened upon, well, Gloria will tell you, one of my hobbies is I get the budget and I actually read it.
Right.
But I ran up on something that surprised me because I haven't heard a lot about it. I understand that on June the 9th, there were a couple of meetings about the city going forward for another millage rate increase. And that was the first I heard about it. I'm pretty sure that they put something in the newspaper, but in a time where we've done something with the Muscogee County School District with the 1-cent sales tax. We've also had one millage rate increase immediately after the last election. And now we're back talking about another millage rate increase. And at the same time, we're seeing significant cuts and then reallocation of resources between the different departments in law enforcement or public safety. I'm trying to figure out what in the heck is going on, because it just doesn't add up. You're increasing my taxes, but then you're going after, I guess it's the sheriff's department and the marshal's department to take resources away and put them somewhere else which isn't a net decrease. It's really just moving, shell game, moving one thing over here, over there. Exactly. So can you enlighten us as to what's happening in your department?
Sure. I submitted a budget, and each year, each elected official and each department head has to submit a budget based on the charter of the Columbus Charter 8-105. And it clearly states the process and how the budget should be handled. I am to submit my budget request to the city manager. The city manager, in turn, is to submit it to the mayor. The mayor is to incorporate it into the overall budget. Now, we can submit a budget, and we know that we're not going to get everything that we ask for. But as an elected official, I've always asked for a need list. I've never had a wish list because I know that I will never get the things that I think I need. So I have to be frugal, and I have to work with whatever the council gives me. But recently, every other mayor that I've worked with, from Bob Portisheff to Jim Worthington, they followed that process.
So just to be clear,
right.
You take your budget,
right,
and you submit it to the city manager,
right,
and then the city manager, whatever administrative process they have, he's putting a budget package together, and the mayor receives that, and then she does what? She
incorporates that into the city's overall budget. In the Charter 8-105, it doesn't use the language alter, modify. The mayor doesn't have that authority. Now, she can alter a budget for a department head. There's a difference between an elected officer and a department head. Elected offices are elected by the people. So the mayor has absolutely no authority over the sheriff or the clerk or the marshal or the clerk of any clerk.
Right.
So we all are independent parts of government, and that's why we can be a little bit more vocal than anybody else, because we're that independent branch that checks government.
Right. You were elected citywide. The mayor was elected citywide. The sheriff, municipal, and superior court clerk, all elected citywide.
Right.
So you're submitting your budget. Does the mayor have the discretion to do something with your budget before
the mayor
it gets submitted to council?
absolute zero authority. The council, however, does have authority to deal with the budget the way that they see fit. But however, under the law, they have to fund me enough money to actually take care of my duties.
And what we're witnessing in this most recent budget process is a cut of, compared to fiscal year 2014, about 30%.
My budget was gutted this year. My budget was gutted. There is no other way of defining it. I have never had this problem with any other mayor. When this mayor first took office, the charter was followed for the first few years, and it seems that 2 years or the 3 years afterwards, the charter was not being followed.
Well, Marshal Countryman, we're going to come back to that point right after we take a moment to visit with our sponsors. Come on back to Straightforward with Gloria Strode.
Straightforward is brought to you by Warrior Outreach. Contact Command Sergeant Major Retired Sam Rhodes or Kathy Rhodes. Freedom Printing for all of your designer printing needs. Gunboat Plaza, Suite 18.
Columbus's first New York-style buffalo wings restaurant. American Deli is not only known for the best buffalo wings in the area, they're also known for their fresh deli ingredients. Now you can enjoy the best New York-style buffalo wings in 2 locations. American Deli at 2004 Auburn Avenue, Columbus, Georgia, and American Wings and Deli at 2061 Highway 280 in Phoenix City. We're open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 8 p.m. American Deli, the best buffalo wings around.
And welcome back to Straightforward with Gloria Strode. Again, I'm here with our good friend, Marshal Greg Countryman, and we left off in the previous segment talking about the budget and talking about the impacts that that's having, that it could have on your ability to effectively execute the duties and responsibilities of the Marshal's office.
Right.
Do you want to continue?
Sure. And let me say, too, that for 4 elected officials that are elected by the public, not appointed by the council, not appointed by this mayor, for us to all see the same thing, we can't all be wrong and one person be right. And under the law, under Georgia law, we have a Georgia Constitution that clearly says that the sheriff is the chief law enforcement official in the county. The mayor says that she does not agree with that. It should be the police chief.
But that's the law.
Well, that's what the law says. The charter is clear. And what it says in 8-105, that the mayor shall incorporate the budget into the elected official's budget into the overall city's budget. So we can't have a Georgia Constitution, and because one person or the mayor doesn't like the way that it reads, or perhaps she may not care for the sheriff, and so she reads it differently. So we can't have a Georgia law and a Teresa's law, because one will waver and one will not waver. So as law-abiding citizens and law-abiding officials, we have to do what is right. We have to take the politics out of politics.
Politics.
Because when I ran for re-election last cycle, I had opposition, but everybody that opposed me, I reached out an olive branch. Because my job doesn't need to be made any more difficult than it is today. Because it's not easy being a public servant, because you have the scrutiny. But if you look at the way that I've operated my budget, now,
well, just to take that point, you know, again, I go out and I read. I try and be data-based.
Right.
You're going from about $1.3 million down to just south of $1 million, like $980,000 or $60,000.
My budget was gutted.
Yeah, basically 30%. In that, we're not really seeing a net reduction in the overall city budget. They're moving bodies. 6, I think the budget document has 6 bodies are moving somewhere, and then you're going from X number of vehicles. I think that's down like 2/3 to like 5 vehicles, and you're going to be expected to.
That's what the mayor recommended in her proposed budget and my proposed budget.
But that's not your budget.
Right. That's not my budget. I would be derelict in my duties if I was to purposely reduce my deputies from the current state to taking 6. I could not do my job. But even in light of what they're doing, everybody will have to answer one day for his or her actions and his or her inactions. So if they leave me with 1 deputy, I'll get on a moped and I will go out there and serve every single.
Right. So you're not saying basically.
No.
You're not
I
going to do
my dead level best.
You're just saying that what we're enjoying now as a community of 10 days to execute civil process for an eviction, it might end up being 100 days, or it could be 50, but it's not going to be the level of service that you're executing now.
That's right.
Because you can't take 100%, go down to 50%, and still expect the same results that you were getting at 100%, I guess is the point.
Right. But even if we have to go beyond that, we're going to give them a quality product. I believe that God is able. I believe that everything that is happening now, and I believe what the word says in Obadiah, that just as you've done, so shall it be done unto you. I can't make someone do what I think is the right thing. Everybody will be held accountable one day. My job as an elected official is to get out here and to give the public the best service that I can do.
I just can't understand. I mean, we're taking money out of one pot, putting it. You were telling me something about they're taking a marshal's position and making it an IT position.
Right. At a recent council meeting, the IT director came before the council and needed another position. The council said, well, let's reduce the marshal's office by another deputy. Now, this is someone that carries a weapon. This is a sworn law enforcement officer that is peace certified, that's driving around in a marked unit that can respond, that can protect that will even give up his or her life if need be. And you cannot strengthen one agency that you have total control over and weaken the two that you absolutely have no control over. This is a partnership, not a dictatorship.
Right.
And even if we look at the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force, I believe. I want to make sure that I mention them all. But they all have distinct duties. So even if my deputies are fighting, or if they're responding to an active shooter, in which that may happen in Columbus, we had to happen at the doctor's hospital. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that the person's life or the lives that that deputy prevented from being taken did not care what color vehicle or uniform that person was wearing. We had an active shooter. And when that deputy got there, they helped to neutralize
and that's a good
the situation, along with working with Columbus Police Department. When we go back to the Markeith Milner, a person that was locked up for the wrong reason, the marshal's office gathered information. Our information matched the correct people that did the murder. The council had to pay out $31,000, but if the marshal's office had not done our homework, we would have an innocent young man sitting behind bars without anyone caring. And this is what I'm talking about. When agencies work together, it strengthens public safety. And you only understand public safety when you have worn the uniform. I've been shot at before in this community. I've had a TV thrown out the top window. I've had to fight with the family, and when my backup got there, my gun was hanging out my holster. I've been doing this for 25 years. The sheriff has been doing this longer. We have over 50 years of experience. And it's hard when someone that's never wore a uniform can just say that this makes sense.
Right. When
you've never had to wear a bulletproof vest, your family or your children have never watched you get ready and asked you, Daddy, what is that for? Daddy, what is that? But when we leave out the door, we are a police officer.
Well, Marshal Countryman, let me tell you something. I'm truly, truly appreciative of the work that you do.
Thank you.
And all of the officers that work under your stead. And this was a very insightful conversation. I hope to have you back. Gloria hopes to have you back sometime here in the future so we can continue the dialogue and educate all of our viewers about what's really going on here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
This has been Straightforward, and again, thank you. This has been Straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Believe you me, we say that for a reason. Until next time, hopefully Gloria will replace me and you will have that beautiful woman looking at you through this screen. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.